It was a wild week on Parliament Hill. Mark Carney's government tabled its first budget. 2 Conservatives left their party, and the Bloc is helping support the Liberals, for now anyway. The budget was announced Tuesday afternoon, with a dramatic move happening soon after. Conservative MP Chris d'Entremont left his party into the very welcoming arms of the Liberals. That gave the government, still shy of a majority, 1 extra vote. This as another Conservative MP stepped down. On Thursday, a Conservative amendment called on the House to reject the budget, but that didn't happen, and the Liberals survived to live another day. That day was Friday, when the Bloc Québécois supported the budget with some changes. Quite the week indeed. Finance Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne has been furiously busy on Parliament Hill, so our own David Aiken caught up with him for us. David.
Thanks, Ben. Minister, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, David.
I want to dive right in on the affordability issue. You've been asked about this all week long. Your budget has a lot of spending on transformational initiatives. Those are big ticket items, business investment. But to Canadians who are having problems right now making ends meet, what is in the budget that addresses affordability issues right now?
Sure, and listen, that's a great question, because when we framed the budget was the issues about the end of the week, the end of the month, and then, like you said, building the future that we want as a nation. The first thing we did was the tax cut, which was 22 million Canadians.
This was the tax cut earlier this year.
Yeah, well, because we didn't wait. Because, you know, the needs of the people were immediate. And this was a measure we announced. We didn't wait for the budget to announce it, but I would say if you look at the amount of money that we have somehow left in the pocket of Canadians, if you look over time, this is billions in the pockets of Canadians. So that was the first measure. Then was to help first-time home buyers. Then you had the fuel charge, obviously, and the one which I would say, which is you would say, okay, what's in this budget? I would say Build Canada Homes, because I think when you talk about affordability, at least when I talk to people, being able to afford a home is usually central.
Let me zero in specifically on the price of groceries. The opposition all week long has been saying that groceries are too high, food inflation is still too strong. Are there specific measures that you can point to that say this is going to help bring down the cost of food, going to help farmers, going to help agri-food producers?
Well, there's a number of measures with respect to our farmers. I can think of our canola farmers, for example. You know, there's a number of things to make sure. It's very tough because now they have, there's a number of tariffs which make the export, have closed certain export market.
Right.
But the investments we're making to open up and expand the markets is going to make a difference for them. I would say the measure which is addressing what you just said about the grocery, I think first and foremost is if you leave more money in the pockets of people, then that's the, if you ask the flagship affordability measure is that you could do 2 things. You can start by leaving more money in the pockets of people, but make sure also that you invest, because the investment we said of in the budget would generate $1 trillion, would enable $1 trillion of growth in the country. But that's the equivalent of like $3,000 for each Canadian. And the last thing I'd say, but you need to put the house in order. So the $60 billion of savings, because Canadians have been tightening their belts, and they say it's about time that you do the same. So the $60 billion of savings give us the credibility to do these investments, because people see that we're putting the house in order at the same time that we say, we'll help you for now, the end of the week, the end of the month, but at the same time, we're going to invest so your kids and my kids will be able to have a more prosperous Canada.
So you and your colleagues in Cabinet are going to be, I think in the next week, probably traveling around the country, talking to chambers of commerce, boards of trade, selling the budget. If there's 3 things that you want to leave in your audience's mind, I just picked 3 out of the top, 3 things you want to leave in your audience's mind, what are you and your colleagues going to focus on?
Well, first of all, it's an investment budget. And that's really...
and that's why we're going to $78 billion into deficit
it's an
year.
investment budget, because this is us believing in ourselves, giving ourselves the means of our ambition, making sure that we build a Canada strong. The second thing I would say to Canadians, there's something for everyone in this budget. I think Canadians, everywhere they are, whether you're farmers, whether you're fishers, whether you're on the factory floor, you'll say, okay, they took care of me, because it's hurting now. They're going to do things for me. They're going to make sure that, our industry can pivot. We're going to be more resilient. We need to move from reliance to resilience to uncertainty to opportunity, because the level of uncertainty is like we've not seen. And the third thing I would say is that this government is putting the country on a track for prosperity and growth. I think that's what we need. You know, one thing that, I mean, you and I are about the same age, that we've been talking for decades in this country was the lack of productivity and competitiveness, which has been hurting.
Going back to Prime Minister Martin and even beyond.
You go back to 1945, we were a big industrial powerhouse. And then over time, we've let that decrease. And now our standard of living would go down if we don't course correct. For me, it's like a ship. Now we do this course correction. And if I compare what we've done, you know, sometime in the G7, you have to benchmark. I look at what Germany did, 500 billion over 12 years. That's their kind of generational plan. Canada, 450 billion over 5 years. And this is the largest economy in Europe. So Canada, when you compare to the G7, you really say, there's really two countries who say, okay, we get it, the world has changed. How can I make sure that I compete? How can I make sure I succeed? And you know why I'm confident? Because Canada is a magnet for talent. Canada knows how to build ships. We build planes, we build cars. We have critical minerals, which are going to be essential. We have energy, which is essential as well to grow the economy. And we're the only country in the G7 with a free trade with all the other G7 countries. So, you know, when I go to these meetings, you know, when you compare, that's where you see that, you know what, there's a headwind, but we're going to be fine because we have the bases are strong in Canada. And we're going to do it together. That's why I'm optimistic.
I want to talk about the politics of the budget. I only got about a minute or so left. It's a week. The House is off for a week. You're going to come back. You're going to face a confidence vote. It looks like it's the NDP that are still thinking about it. So sell this budget to a New Democrat. They need to be able to say to their supporters, we got to win somehow from you and your colleagues. Why should the NDP?
I would say, first of all, you should look at the mood of the nation. I spent 2 days traveling, and trust me, when you're in the airport and people stop you or in the streets or when you go to the grocery, I would say, feel the mood of the nation. People have little patience. They see the headwind. They know it's an historic moment. We need to meet the moment. What I would say, take the word of the Canadian Labour Congress. They said, for once, this is a budget that puts workers at the heart of the economic plant of the country. That's very powerful. You know, this is them saying that workers are central to, and I'm paraphrasing what they said, I think, you know, that workers are central to the economic strategy of the country. And for us to be in tune with workers, with laborers, to say, we're going to do this together. We can't do that alone. We need like business people, we need, you know, community leaders, we'll need unions, we'll need workers. Because when you have such a shift, we're giving the tone. You know, we're putting the roadmap. We need to work with provinces, territories, indigenous communities. This is like a roadmap for success for the nation for the 21st century. And I think that's why I would say, feel the mood of the nation. Go talk to the workers on the factory floor. They want to make sure we can be there to pivot their plan. Canola farmers, they want to make sure we expand the market so they can sell their products. If you go to the fishers, it's the same thing. If you're in the auto sector, you want us to fight alongside workers to keep these plants in Canada, retool them. So I think sometimes when there's a moment like that in history, it's not about politics, it's about people. And that's why I've really, with respect to Mike, I said, go talk to people. The mood of the nation is clear.
Minister, thank you so much and good luck next week.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you, David.